So up to this point, I've been the first video in this series. I was showing how to break apart bar chords and be able to see little pieces, because I think that's a big part of becoming an intermediate player. And then the next part was doing sort of a similar thing where you have chords with bass movement, being able to see the bass movement separately. And the third video was doing the same thing with the upper notes. And throughout all of that, I kind of just assume that as a beginner, you don't necessarily know the fretboard super well. And it just takes time. And so what you should do is find a diagram that you like. Maybe I'll link to one if I find some. What I used to do is I like to find like a picture and print it out with all the natural notes. So the natural notes are the white keys on the piano, like C or A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, F, G without any of the sharps or flats. So that'd be the white keys on the piano. Those are what you want to start learning. I wouldn't worry about the sharps or flats, because once you know the natural notes, you can just go up for sharps or down for flats. Yeah, but what I want to show, this video is going to be shorter than some of the other ones. What I wanted to show is how I learned it. And actually, the way that I learned the notes really the most was having to learn to read music. Unfortunately, like if you start with tab and that's all you use, you tend to think more in terms of numbers. And it's kind of hard to really go back and learn the notes and to really have to do it. So for me personally, I started with classical guitar. I didn't even read tabs for the first year. I just read notes. And but that said, I mean, that gave me mastery down here. Like, it helped me to master down here where I was doing a lot of finger picking. But higher up just kind of happened over time. And one thing that will start to happen is when you move chords around, like if you're doing, like the thing I did in the first video is going from F, C, G, C, then you're going to learn like F's here, C is 8, 3 is G, and 8, and or like moving shapes around like this kind of shape. In this case, the root note's on the B string, so eventually it'll be like D, G, F, G, or whatever, wherever you move it. So that will happen over time, but in the meantime, which is what this video is going to show, is you can do a few things. You can get a diagram and then just go up the strings like this, like E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and then go backwards. You keep going, but you really want to get to 12. So 12, 10, 8, 7, 5, 3, 1, 0. And you want to learn where the natural notes are and just be able to go up. You could go with one finger, but really you might want to start to, whoops. You could do it like more like this, like you could go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, where you climb up. You climb up note by note, because then you're getting some finger practice too. So there I was going E, F, G, and then I'm going to go F, G, A, and then I'm going to go G, A, B, A, B, C, and then you're getting some technique practice in there also, which I could work on. So you can go up each string and do that, and that's one thing I used to do. Like I would go, some days, you're just kind of going through the motions, but you start to get used to where all these notes are. And over time, when you're doing your chords and stuff, playing real songs, it will start to sink in better. And you could go up each string. And again, you need to get a diagram. I would just print them out and just have it with me. Or, I mean, you could just maybe look at your phone or whatever. And what you want to Google is like natural note fretboard diagram. And there's tons and tons of them. You can just go on Google Images and find that. So going up and down on single strings is helpful, and saying the notes, or maybe saying the like just saying the notes, I guess. The other thing that you can do is go vertically, and you're definitely going to probably want a diagram for that. Because real quick, one thing that you should know, if you don't already, is if you look at a piano, you'll see like there's two spots between two sets of keys. It repeats the pattern. It goes like 2 black keys and then 3 black keys, but there's 2 sets of white keys. It has no black key. Those pairs of notes are B, C, and E and F. And that's just something you want to memorize. B, C, E, F have no sharp or flat in between them. And so using that knowledge, if you're on like an E, this is the E string, then you know F is right next to it, which is basically like if you had to hold this down. And then here from F to G, you know they're going to skip because there would be equivalent to a black key in between. Or G to A, there's a black key in between. A to B, but then once I get to B, then I know B, C, and E and F are next to each other. So if you remember B, C, E, F, there's no sharp or flat between. You can navigate up and down single strings, and but vertically it's a little bit trickier. You can still use that knowledge, but really you're probably going to want to look at the diagram. And one thing you want to do a lot of when you're learning is E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Because that's like the most common way to use the natural notes. So the G string had only 2 notes on it. The others have 3. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then you go backwards. You could put 3 notes on each string, but in practice, you're not really going to do that. You could go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. That's just, it's kind of cool technique-wise, but you aren't really going to do that. Because normally when you're playing, like I did in the last video, all those natural notes, I was using those. I wasn't playing like this. So you want to master this position. This is going to be super useful to know what the natural notes are down there, because then you'll be able to identify very quickly what's going on. And then after that, you want to know the bottom 2 strings for the sake of bar chords. And then I would say the top 2 strings for the sake of little triads. And actually the D and G strings, those are probably like the ones, I mean, I know where all the notes are, but I don't think about them as much. In terms of like instantly thinking about what the notes are there. I think because I use triads up here more. I guess I do know this, but a lot of times the triads tend to be up here or down here, like full chords. And then also doing power chords, you'll master these strings. Because in order to know like, oh, the chord progression's B5, D5, G5, then you're going to need to know like there's a B here on the 7th fret. And there's a D here on the 5th fret, and there's a G here on the 3rd fret. Or you can know there's the same B is right here, and over time you'll start to know that. Just what I used to do is just put a diagram out in front of me. And then one final thing that I used to do, and this is like on the next step. I'm not quite sure how I want to get into this material, but the basic theory. And like I've mentioned, I'm working on some books, and I think that's where like some real books are going to be necessary to get into theory. But what I used to do was write down like the chord definition, and then play those notes on single strings or vertically. But what I mean is, let's say a C chord has 3 notes in it, C, E, G. So what you can do is you could play C, E, G, like those notes on each string. So here I would have an E, G, C, and then a E. And why would you want to do that? Well, knowing instantaneously where those notes are could be useful for soloing, but it's also a good way just to kind of make a game out of it. So when you're hunting for like specific notes, instead of just going up, which you can use the E, F, B, C sort of pattern to kind of cheat, or it makes it easier, which is what you want to start with. But then if you have kind of like, well, I need to find C, E, G, then you're going to be like, well, where's C, E, G? Well, here's the first C on the B string. E is 5th fret, 8, and then you can go to 13. But really, that's it. So you look at your diagram, you go up. Oops. You could go to 13 there just to have an extra note. G, C, E, G. See, this is actually useful for me to do. It's just like wakes your brain up. Whereas just going up the natural notes becomes kind of mindless. So what you can do is you can also just Google like what notes are in chords, and find some that have all natural notes. The 5 keys that you want to really master are, spell the word caged, C-A-G-E-D. And I'll show this. This is getting more advanced, but getting into intermediate territory, you're going to hear people talk about 1-4-5 chord progression. You're going to hear caged. And caged is very important. All it means is the order that the chords appear, it's the shape of the chord. So here's like a C chord. So C, this is a C shape. It's a C chord. A. This is an A shape. The reason it's an A shape is if you took this A chord and you moved it up to here and then you barred it. Like if I had to play an A chord like this. So that's an A shape. The next one would be a G shape. You see how that's a G chord? If my finger was the nut. That one though, most people play like this. Just the top of it. Or like that. So we got C, A, G, E, and then the last shape is D. So those 5 chord, caged is helpful for navigating the neck, but it's the basic shapes which lend themselves to guitar that are the 5 keys you play in the most. So what I would do is look up the chords and the keys of C, A, G, E, D. The other useful keys are F and B flat, and sometimes E flat, but I would say just F. But really going through C, A, G, E, D takes quite a while to really master those keys. And what you can do is look at the chords, and the keys of C and G will have the fewest sharps and flats. C is the best key to start with because it has no sharps or flats, and G only has F sharp. So you can find a lot of chords there that are useful, that are just natural notes. And then you can play that little game. So you could do like G is G, B, D. You could go G, B, D. And then you could go, okay, B, D, G. And it's making me think, it's actually good. It wakes your brain up a lot. So you could play that game, and then you're learning the chords. You could also see them laid out in the key, and that's super useful. And I guess that's it. I just did that a whole bunch, and eventually over time you start to know stuff. Also playing with other people and playing the chords for somebody, putting yourself on the spot a little bit helps for some reason to kind of solidify that knowledge, and then try to solo over stuff. Because when you're playing with someone else, a lot of times they're playing stuff that sometimes you have to think about what the chords are because you didn't come up with it yourself. So let's say I'm playing with someone and they're playing like G, B minor, and like a D7 or something. Sometimes like when you know what they're doing, but it takes a minute to kind of come up to orient yourself, because I would be like, well, I want to play some sort of a G, so I could use G and B, and then they went to B minor, so I'm going to want a B and a D. So I could kind of map out like some stuff I want. And yeah, so I remember that was helpful as well if you can get together with someone else. So hopefully that's clear. For this stuff, you just got to do it a lot. And if you practice the few things I showed here, and then you're continuing to learn, play with other people, eventually it comes together. And it's pretty fun once you know where all the natural notes are. The guitar's a lot different when you look at it and you can see the patterns. I think in the next video I'm going to start to show some basic fretboard tricks that will help also. I didn't want to get too overwhelming, but there's a lot of tricks. There's going to be a lot of tricks for like knowing like certain patterns that make it easier. Like if you know the notes in one region, you can sort of see where they are in other regions. So I think that's maybe what I'll get into next, but please leave comments and feedback, and I can try to cater this series. I'm just sort of trying to figure out how to present this kind of knowledge, and that helped me a lot. So that's it, and thanks for watching.